Hey cousins, this is Lethabo
and this is Mokgadi,
and you're listening to
What My Cousin Said.
So happy 2024,
Hey,
guys! Happy New Year! Yeah, no, I know we've been gone for like a hot minute, and yeah, I think we should start with where we've been. Where have we been?
Where have we been?
Where have you been?
Where have I been?
Yeah.
Okay, I think, long story short, where we've been, we had technical difficulties, you know? So I was actually talking to Mpo when she was doing my hair, and she was saying how they've thought about starting a podcast as well, but you know, everything looks so complex. The thing is, we didn't think so. It looked easy, but it wasn't. It actually wasn't. So as you guys know, the first episode, sound was a bit shaky.
Yeah.
You know, it was a bit shaky, the first one, but then we thought, no, man, we should be able to get it right the second one. The second one was even worse. And then we actually recorded a third one.
Yeah.
That was even worse. And we're like, no way, we can't keep apologizing for the sound quality. Let's also respect their cousins, you know? So
we can't keep compromising on quality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then we just thought, let's just take some time together. Lethabo found someone.
Yeah.
So now we've got somebody who helped us with the sound. I don't even want to say we're hoping it's a lot better. I'm so sure.
Better.
We know it's better. Let us know if it's better also,
yes,
you know.
You better comment. Leave a comment and let us know because we made sure.
Exactly. We definitely made sure. So it was the technical difficulties, and then obviously we took some feedback. We did ask like a few people.
Yeah.
You know, they talked about us being on our phones, being a bit distracting. So we tried to do away with that this time around. So that's pretty much where we've been podcast wise.
Yeah. I think it's also just very important to note that I definitely understand the pressure most influencers feel when they don't drop, because now there's so much going on in the background. There's your personal life. I literally don't judge you guys. I think I'm on the same boat. Not totally. I'm an influencer or anything.
No, I used to judge them. You know, like people always make jokes about South African YouTubers.
Yeah.
But they always come back and what is it called? Life updates.
Yeah.
You know, it's like life updates. I get it. I fully get it.
Like because, we're on the same
a lot can happen in the background. Hey?
Yeah.
Especially, I think, we're not, like, it's not the only thing we're doing, you know? Yeah. So when everything just comes, but anyway, we're serious. We're back and we're better. Yeah. You're going to see us. You'll get consistency and stuff. So that's pretty much where we've been.
Yeah.
But you were asking where I've been, like individually. Okay, let me answer
where have you been?
In general.
Yes.
I don't know when last we actually recorded, but a lot has happened over the past couple of months. Yeah. So maybe just to take some time to reflect on the year that was. So 2023 was an interesting year for me. I think like if I were to give it a theme or like, you know, I would just say growth. I think that's what it was for me. Like so much happened last year that required me to channel parts of myself that I've never had to, you know? So I wouldn't necessarily say it was a difficult year. I wouldn't say that, but it was interesting. So I think just relationally, individually, you know, a lot of my inner conflicts, you know, it was also a year of self-acceptance. It was a year of trying new things, 100%. You know? So I feel like that's what the year had in store. Towards the end though, I don't know if we're really going to expand on this, but we did lose a close family member. Yeah. So from episode 1, they actually know who it is. Yeah, remember? Yeah. Because from episode 1, we explained how we're related and we said it started with 2 people who met 40 plus years ago. Yeah. And that couple, one of them passed. Yeah. So that was rough. That was like really rough. And they were sick around from October. So I think it started affecting us from like mid-October, ne? Yeah.
The actual day when we were actually recording an episode was the day we were supposed to go to the hospital.
Yes, actually, correct. Yeah. So then, that's what happened. And then she passed. That was like November. I think we're all just still dealing with that. And then obviously, we all had the year-end fatigue. Yeah. And then work started winding down a bit. So that's what 2023 was for me. But I think going into 2024, still want to continue the growth element. Yes. But I think what it's going to be about for me is like stopping to smell the roses.
Yes.
For me, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Being more present.
Exactly. Because I think I'm such a go person that, you know, I don't always stop and actually take in the current moment and take in what I'm feeling, take in what's happening. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm actually looking forward to that. I feel like I'm going to try some new things again. I'm looking forward to growing this as well. Yeah. But then also just taking time to say, let me not be obsessed with actually ticking things off a list, but let me take time to immerse myself in the things that I'm already doing now and watching those things grow and nurturing that. Yeah. So for me, that's what I'm hoping for this year. That's where I've been. Where have you been?
So I think you started off by also just highlighting the theme for 2023 and like maybe like a description. And for me, I think I've always judged Rihanna when she has that tattoo that says never a lesson, always a failure. And I think as I grow older, I understand exactly what that means. And that was 2023 for me. I think I stepped out of the zone where you're constantly feeling like a failure or you constantly feel like you're not living up to the person you should be at a certain time. Yeah. And I had a lot of those lessons last year. I made big decisions and I feel like those big decisions kind of put me off and put me where I am as well. Yeah. In good and bad places. And I think I'm okay with the places I'm in. I've lost a lot of people, friends. We've lost our aunt. Like, there's just a lot of, like, things that have happened. And I think I had to grow in 2023. Yeah. So I don't want to necessarily say it's just mainly growth, but it's a lot of lessons. Yeah. So I think never a failure, always a lesson. And I think as I reflect for this year, I'm turning 28. And I feel like that's such a big age. But not only that, I'm trying to make sure that I am more in tune with myself. I'm setting more boundaries. I'm more understanding of myself before anything else. Because I feel like a lot of the times, like I always say this in every episode, as a recovering people pleaser, I think we struggle to put boundaries. We struggle to communicate. We struggle to just be ourselves. Yeah. And I think the main thing, my theme for this year is to be myself, but also be okay in error.
That's like, beautiful. Being okay in error. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay in error. I want to make mistakes, pick up the pieces, start again.
Just keep it moving.
And keep it moving.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like you also mentioned such a critical thing about being in the moment. I also feel like I'm that person. What's next? What are we doing? Like at some point I kind of felt like, okay, when are we going to record? We're not moving. Like what's the pace? Where are we going? Are we aligned? You know, but I think everything takes time. Yeah. Rome was not built in a day. So I think, you know, it's a lot of patience with ourselves. Yeah. And I think that's where I'm at. I'm being more patient with myself. A lot of good things are happening this year. And yeah, it's a year of great reflection, but also welcoming goodness. And I'm declaring it for us as well. Good things are going to happen. And
100%.
That's just how I feel. Amen.
Amen. No, definitely just wanting to live in abundance. Yeah. In abundance. Yeah. No, I'm excited about that. You know, just like with what we were just talking now, we all just have so much that we want to happen for this year. The thing is, it also comes with a lot of pressure. 100%. You know, like for me, I feel like there's a lot of pressure. There's so much pressure. And I think we don't always like stop to think about where's the pressure coming from, who's applying the pressure, you know? So I came across a TikTok. I really forgot you said you follow them, ne? I forgot the name. The ones who were talking about the source of pressure.
Yes, Faith O,
right? Yes. So I came across, I haven't watched the episode yet, I will, but I saw a TikTok and they were talking about, you know, what are the sources of pressure? Yeah. And it really just inspired us to think about actually where does this pressure come from? Yes. You know? And I think, I don't know, like for me, I feel like the why is the feeling, the need to reinvent yourself when there's a new year, you know, like we all just feel like new me, whatever, like all of this stuff. And it's also when you're reflecting on the previous year, we hope for so much. I think that's like a general human, instinct to just hope for better, to constantly hope. So I think I found that there's a lot of pressure when it comes to what do I have in store for the year? Like, do I have enough on my vision board? Do I have enough on my list? Am I dreaming too big? Am I dreaming too little? And it's also so difficult when a lot of these stuff come from uncertainty, when not everything is in my control, So,
I find that before we even go any further, I find that so interesting because I think that's actually good pressure. I think that everybody needs that kind of pressure within themselves to push themselves. No one is going to come and save you. That's what I've also realized about being an adult. You're in your 20s, you're going to have to wake up and smell the roses and make sure that you're showing up for yourself. And I feel like I actually prefer this time of the year where people use it to reflect, use it to come up with like their plan. Because, we get so dazed out through the year that you're so busy trying to make sure that you're doing your job, you're getting this done, but where's the vision? It should start from somewhere.
I think what my concern usually is with that pressure, is that sometimes you're just under pressure to actually have a list of stuff that you want to put down. You don't always take time to stop and think, are they actually realistic or not? Because then now you feel so, I was going to swear, you feel unhappy with yourself at the end of the year when you reflect and you're like, man, I actually didn't tick off everything. And that's because of, you probably put stuff there that were just like, it's like saying, maybe more long-term or out of your control.
But doesn't that come with like self-awareness? Sorry, I really want to say, because there's a lot of things that I had initially put on my personal vision board last year that I didn't achieve. But I'm not mad at myself. I'm adding them on the vision list again. That this is what we're going to do again and try again. We try again till we get there. So I guess like it's interesting how people receive the pressure, because I feel like you're saying, it's not something that you can always pressure yourself under, but you end up feeling like, okay, what am I going to do? I didn't achieve this. I don't feel so bad. It's okay. Start again.
And I think that's the difference, right? Between
people,
even myself. Literally just me. I'm people right now. I'm not great at accepting when I haven't met an expectation I had.
True.
When I've failed, when I've, I'm not great at that. So I think sometimes that's why I'm somebody who pressure can turn into something like tricky. Because of, like I'm saying, I don't always sit and think about, is this realistic? Right? So I'll use something easy. Every year, we all know, December, we're all saying Jan is the year. This is going to be the year I get skinny. This is going to be the year I get fit. This is going to be the year like all of these, I'm just speaking just like fitness goals, right? Like we all have, this is going to be the year. And I always feel like this has been the year for a while, for like a lot of years. And the common thing every single time is that I've probably put myself on the most extreme, unsustainable, it's just, it doesn't make sense.
Unrealistic.
Retrospectively, it doesn't make sense. In that moment, because you feel like this is the time, I need to, then I find myself putting down things that probably don't even make sense, So, and when I think about who's actually applying this pressure, you said like something true, but a lot of it is ourselves. Like a lot of it is ourselves. Why? It is just a matter of
what we're like consuming, because that also contributes to how you see yourself. Who you're around, who's saying what to you, also contributes to the type of pressure you put on yourself and the mental position you're in at that time. But I actually wanted to point out that I've realized that the biggest thing that I've done for myself over time is forgive myself. And being able to start again, forgiving myself that, I wasn't able to do this. Let me practice like kindness to myself. Because if you're kinder to yourself, you're able to like be kinder to others. Like extend another level. So I started with myself and I took a few steps back. I said, hey, what are you doing wrong? So like there was an issue, like, and this is an example. for a long time, I couldn't take out, like, I wasn't comfortable with, like, showing my toes. Because I was just like, oh, my toes are ugly because I have got a big foot, whatever, like, you know, stuff like that. But then one year I was like, no, let's start doing my toes.
Yeah.
Let's start seeing how I feel about my toes. Little things like that give you more confidence to literally step out and try again till you like what you see. And I think that's just the patience that you need to have with yourself.
Yeah, like to not write it off and say, this is what I don't like about myself. I've accepted it as what it is. I guess I'll never be able. Just try find the silver lining.
And heal the wound. Because I feel like it comes from somewhere. Like it's a long, I don't know. I just feel like it comes from somewhere.
But always finding that source of the pressure. Yeah.
So try to feel more confident in yourself first, and then try again.
Yeah. Okay. No, a lot of it is self-inflicted.
Yeah. So
I definitely agree with that.
But there's a lot of pressure that comes from the internet. That's definitely there. Like,
yeah. Because I suppose when everybody. And maybe you see it more when we're all doing like our annual recaps and stuff, you know? Because then you like watch somebody's and you're like, yo, you've been busy. You've gotten a lot done. You've done 1, 2, 3, you know? And you're like, did I do that?
Yep.
You know? And yeah, I will say, I think I have seen that more. So I'm not somebody who is really like on social media. It's never really been like my thing, right? But lately, obviously I know, okay, if I'm going to start something, if I'm going to do this, I need to get an Instagram, I need to do this, you know? So then I did it. I found that since that, there's so much more, I don't know if it's comparison but it's like at the back of my mind, I'm more conscious of what other people are doing. Where it's not something that I've never been affected by that before. Yeah. And now suddenly it's like subconsciously I might think, whatever, it's whatever. I just like something, I move on with my life. But subconsciously
it's there.
It's there. And it's probably what's also informing some of the pressures that I put on myself.
Which is very valid because I mean, it wasn't something that you were accustomed to before because you didn't have social media. Yeah. So sometimes being able to distinguish between where to put what you're like consuming kind of becomes problematic. But because, for example, like we're both in like the similar industry, but like I'm more like digital platforms and stuff like that, I've been able to like switch off.
Okay.
I consume stuff, but I don't let it consume me. But at the same time, I'm still a person that is overly conscious of what other people are doing. Or like, I'm still like, I saw this person's story. Did you see? It becomes a conversation. Like it becomes a norm to say, hey, did you see someone's story? Did you see this? I want to go to Dubai because like I felt the pressure, but I mean, some of these pressures are good, some of them aren't. And I think it goes back
being able to discern, right? Yes. Yeah, to discern. When is it? Yeah. And I think the other thing is, you know, when it comes to, okay, now say you've put all of this stuff down, you know what you want to achieve, you're in 3-4 months in, right? You need to stop and actually look back. I don't think a vision board is something you do and just put away.
Yeah.
3 months in, you go, you sit back, and now you're like, okay, cool, there's this thing that I've got on my vision board. I've said that I'm going to do this thing. It's taxing me so much. It requires a great level of resilience that I haven't necessarily felt, or I haven't necessarily shown, rather, that I haven't necessarily shown. And now I would find myself beating myself up to say, but Mokgadi, you know, like you set out to do 1, 2, 3. And I think that's why I'm like, perhaps this is because of maybe I'm so hard on myself when it comes to failure. But then I find that sometimes that resilience turns toxic.
Yeah, it is toxic. But that's what I've realized, that it's also about how you receive it. It's toxic when it comes from other people. So for example, like parental pressures or like, when you're in competition with your friends. Yeah. Like those are things that are like really toxic.
So if you're staying resilient because you're in competition with people, because of the pressures from outside, okay, then it's not really you're not staying true to yourself.
Yes, not things that you want to achieve by yourself. What I've realized is that when you disassociate yourself from pressures from the outside world with others and make sure that the pressure that you're getting is good for you. Like, for example, when I sit with myself every day and I'm like, oh, I need to, like, okay, I don't want to, like, talk about my vision too much. But, like, I don't, there's some things that I really want to achieve that I can't necessarily talk about with my friends. Or I can only talk about with specific people. But you're not going to come here and pressure me because you have it. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you already have it. I'm not in competition with you because you have it already. You know, I feel like I'm going to achieve it because you're an inspiration. So I think it's about how you see it. I don't know. What do you think?
I think, yeah, I mean, from what you just said, Hora, I suppose you need to understand what you feel like is driving your need to be resilient, right? Yeah. Because I think resilience is definitely it's a good trait, 100%. Right? It's a good trait. It's probably one of a characteristic that, like, a lot of, I don't even want to use successful, but a lot of great people, I feel like, have, right? You always hear the stories. You need to have some level of resistance, the ability to pick yourself up, whatever. I just think it's really important to know why you're being resilient. Let me rather say that. Because then I think even when it comes to, like, school, man, like, you know, there'll be people who just feel like, no, you just need to keep it going. You just need to, and there are people who, like, end up unaliving themselves because of the pressures that school that was, you know, and it was like, okay, should that have been the time where you took some time back to say, my mental health is not okay, perhaps this thing isn't for me right now, you know, that could even be with a job, you know. I know a lot of people who left their job without a plan because they were just like, the toxicity where I am right now, I just can't keep on going, right? And it's always been a difficult decision for anybody to make, even when we, like, talk through it, because of it feels like, am I giving up? Like, I'm a winner. I'm meant to achieve. Like, why am I giving up so early? You know?
I think there's the saying that always goes on Twitter where, like, if God wants to choose, like, someone's strong soldier, I'm not one of them. Yes. I feel like this pertains to what you're saying, that not everyone has to be chosen as strong. I feel like sometimes your character allows you to be strong. The positions you've put yourself before in allow you to be strong. But when you see that you can't, you need to be able to say, okay, stop. Let us not do this. I can't do this. Be able to tell yourself that, hey, you know what? This is too much for me. I can't, because now that's where it ends up toxic. When you are not able to say to yourself that this is the end, this is where I think I need to close the door and start afresh. And I feel like also because our parents have made us these people that, like, we always need to show up when you can't. And that's what I don't like about, like, you know, what are they called? Like the people who are born in the 1970s, 80s. What are they called? Because we're Gen Z, right?
We're not Gen Z. I feel like we're on the, it depends.
Gen Z.
Yeah, millennial Gen Z cusp there. Before us is it X or Y?
I'm not sure. But them. I think.
But it's still millennials. 80s. 80s are still millennials.
Really?
Yeah. It might be X. I'm not sure. We'll check it.
We'll check it for you guys.
But there's boomers and then there's the ones in the middle. I don't know if it's just boomers and millennials or there's somebody in the middle. That's what I'm not sure about.
But I see quite often in, like, the adults that I'm around a lot. They are literally pressurers. They want you to achieve something more than you.
Wild, because you're also an adult, but
no. But, like, the ones we're around that are much older, it's like they want you to achieve something more than you wanted for yourself. But now once you do, it's insignificant. Like, it's not as important as it was deemed before. And now you also don't understand, like, now, what's the point? Why was I under so much pressure to get to this point in my life, but for you to just now look at me and say, oh, you made it?
You know what, ne? When it comes to that, I think if you asked me a few years ago, I actually was talking to a friend of mine, we realized it's been 10 years since first year varsity, right? If you asked me a few years ago, do I feel like we need to take advice from like older people, all of these pressures? I would have definitely said, no, throw it out the window. They don't always know what they're talking about. But I think as I get older, I'm 28 now, you know, with my 1 year older wisdom. But anyway, like as I get older, I think I've found that there are certain things, they had a point.
100%. They were always right, man.
They had a point. I wouldn't say always, but they had a point, right? I think, for example, something like school. Obviously, for people who are our parents, school was literally the way out of poverty.
Yeah.
You know, it was the way out of poverty. It was the way out of tough situations, even if it's not poverty, for you to get your independence. It was that, you know? So I think, hence the pressure for them to feel like everybody of our generation, this is like the one thing that you need to do, just get this out of the way, right? Then what I've seen is, okay, now there's us, and there's people who are younger. Gen Zs are the ones who are like, no, I can actually make money on YouTube. I can actually make money on TikTok. Why am I doing the whole school thing? It's not for me. And I'm not there yet. Yeah. Like, I'm not with them when it comes to that. I still feel like there are certain things that work because there are certain things that are preached or enforced because of their work, right? When it comes to something like school, obviously not everybody's academically inclined, 100%. Right? Like, that's just the reality. Yeah. And so you shouldn't beat yourself up because right now you're not academically inclined. Exactly. But I still feel like within the education space, maybe take the principle that it's a matter of learning something. Yes. You know, find your skill, find out how you can grow it. Whether it's academically, whether you're doing a trade, like whether it's plumbing or whatever, whether it's attending a short course, if you're interested in something super artistic, how can you find it, you know, do something beauty, how can you find a way to monetize that later, you know? I feel like that's really so important that we mustn't do away with that just because of you can suddenly earn money this quickly.
It's still educational.
Exactly.
And I think what I've been trying to instill in my brother as well is that just because you can make money fast doesn't mean you have to.
Exactly.
Just because you want to attain certain things that were easier for someone else does not mean it's going to be the same way for you. But follow the steps that you feel are good for you, what you're good at. Like, for example, when we started this whole podcast, I said to you, you know what? I feel like I'm good at expressing myself publicly, talking, having conversations. Not that I don't have any other talents, but why do we not make something of it? Not with the intention of making money, but because we want to be ourselves on a platform. And that has worked out for so many other people.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like we need to also create more spaces where people feel comfortable enough to be themselves to make money from it. And I think that's great.
So, wait, for more people to have, platforms, I get you, okay.
So, for more platforms for people to be themselves. So, if you know that you're really good at makeup, have a platform where you have someone to talk to about that and get into makeup. Okay. Get into something simple, get into piercing ears, whatever you're good at, and still make something of yourself.
Without the expectation of if you didn't go the varsity route. You failed, you know?
There are people who print shirts. There's so many other like ways to make it in life. It doesn't have to be.
I just think we need to just forget the instant gratification and feeling like I obviously need to get whatever, you know, like throw school away.
Yeah.
And just the first thing that I can make money from, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, there are lessons. There are certain lessons that you'll get from just bettering yourself, educating yourself more. So I think that's something that I still feel like is important. And I think things like that are not only important because you got a qualification or you learned a skill, but it's the resilience that it teaches you, just to tie back into that. But it's the resilience that it teaches you that, everybody deserves to feel like I know how to start something and see it through. Like the level of confidence, the level of, self-reassurance that can give you, it's necessary. You know, I feel like it's so necessary.
I mean, obviously, like a lot of things contribute to not being able to get to that point, like your mental health, where you're at mentally to be able to accomplish certain things. And I feel like give yourself time, be patient with yourself, try again. If you can't do it again, try it again till you can.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's just the word for everybody else. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to make it too preachy, but I feel like everybody goes through a trial and error phase where like it really, you feel like your life is falling apart.
But yeah, I just
Hey,
the battery just died. No, the battery just died. The camera. Anyway, we're back. So I think I was making a point about mental health.
Yes.
I was just saying, Hore, when I think of the worst case scenario, resilience.
Yes.
Is probably not worst case scenario, the worst effect. Yeah, the worst effect that resilience could possibly have of you, like on you, the toxic side, the negative side would be the effect on your mental health. 100%. Right? And we all know how that could possibly end. Yes. So I think very important to take note of that. Hore, just because of we're here saying no, stay resilient doesn't mean you must ignore your mental health, you know. So I think everybody knows themselves well enough to know when something is off, man. You know when your moods have been lower than normal. You know when you're not socializing as much as you should. You know if the thought of speaking to people is making you shake. You don't want to talk to people. So if you can feel, okay, this thing that you're sticking with, this thing that you're trying to see through is getting you to a point where you can't even function well, you know, and happily, then it's definitely important to find the necessary help.
But with that being said, I think we also need to remove ourselves from only wanting external help and thinking it has to be monetary. You know, I think in the last 2 years, I haven't been to therapy physically, but I've been doing the, what is it called? Shadow work. So I've got like a folder on Pinterest, and I can actually link it under.
Yeah, maybe share that. Yeah.
I feel like I've been doing this weekly. Some of the questions are really difficult, but like, I feel like if you take a question a day in a week and you answer maybe if there's 7, I feel like give yourself time and deal with, get into journaling, deal with yourself, deal with your feelings, write them down. Sometimes I feel like it's not obviously good enough to have a conversation with someone because you don't feel heard. Another thing with mental health is that when you express yourself, you don't feel heard. You feel like no one understands. And I feel like it's always better for yourself to understand yourself. And I think I'm going to do that. Like, find other ways to make sure that you're dealing with things for the better of yourself.
Of your mental health. Yeah. And sometimes, not even sometimes, that often looks like exercise. It looks like just going outside, taking in some sun.
Yeah.
Just don't isolate yourself. I think a lot of us are very tempted to isolate ourselves when we're not fine. But yeah, Lethabo makes a good point, because the ability to afford therapy or whatever, it's definitely a privilege.
Yes,
right? I don't think the average person has access to that. But if you do go that route, if you don't, then there's plenty of organizations. So Lethabo, you'll share the link to that. But then there's also, some NGOs or whatever that we can also just put some link to. That it's important to also just keep that in mind, especially during this time of the year. I feel like when kids also get their matric results, just things get shaky, man, you're seeing everybody go to varsity, maybe you didn't make it, you didn't, so just keep in mind our own race, own pace. Don't stress yourself too much, as important as it is to have your goals and stuff, to plan out your year, your life, but don't stress yourself to a point where you're judging yourself too harshly,
but I also think another thing is that it's not always
is your phone ringing?
Do
you want to silence it? I think we'll hear it on
it's okay. I think another thing that we also need to think about in times like these is that when you want to make it in life, I think you also need to be open-minded to failure. And I think that's another thing that our mental health does not allow us to experience. Because sometimes, like, the failure can be so dire, you don't know what to do with yourself. And I think that is why we need to take the different measures that we're trying to suggest, that if you feel like there isn't an NGO or like someone that can directly assist you, it's better to write it down. It's better to go to the gym. If you can't go to the gym and you don't have money, we're re-emphasizing basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so I think, with that said, just in terms of going into 2024, I think we've touched on like vision boards and stuff.
Yeah.
How do you usually plan? Like, say, I don't know, do you start like in December? Do you start on the 1st of
So I started in 2021. Like when I started doing the whole vision board thing, what my plan is. I started in 2021 because I realized I was like, hey, I've been walking, idling around, not planning my life. Mm-hmm. That is a bit like boring. Like, why can't I be a person that thinks of what they can do? Then I started realizing that, hey, I got Canva, I did a whole vision board together, and I realized it actually works. I put it on my wallpaper, it really works. Like last year, I achieved a lot of the things that I put on my wallpaper, and I'm really proud of myself. I made notes as well, like cross them out, clear this, do that, get this. Then, now it comes to the things that I haven't achieved. I take into the next year. So I start in November. I start looking at the things I've achieved, the things I've been able to do, what can I change about myself, and then we take it there. But I think the first thing that I've done this year that's different, I've done the ins and outs. I don't know if you guys have seen that on TikTok, where like there are certain character traits that you'd like to do out with, and then there are certain character traits about yourself or things or like activities that you'd like to do for yourself. And I think that's what's important to me. Like there's a lot of things I'd like to leave behind. Like, for example, asking people, do you remember me? One of my friends was telling me that I tend to like get to people if like I remember them and they don't remember me. And I feel like, why don't you remember me? I feel like I definitely want to do that in 2023. But like, I think it works. I think there are certain things where you need to hold yourself accountable to yourself and say, hey, you need to set boundaries. You need to change. You need to be a better person or not be the person that you know yourself to be.
Yeah.
You know, also you're growing with age. It's not like you're going to stay in the same place. And for you, what have you been doing?
To plan. To plan. So I think I haven't been as diligent.
Yeah.
As you have when it comes to planning. But I think around December, let me think of what I did this time around, right? But anyway, so this time in December, I had a conversation. I was speaking to my husband, to say this is 1, 2, 3 what we want to do, individually as well, and this is what we want to do together. So I think the approach that we've taken this time around is to say, okay, cool, let's do our individual vision boards, and then present them to each other. So that's also to build that level of accountability, presenting them to each other, and also just going through what help would look like from the other to hold each other accountable, 100%. Right? So that's something different that we've done this year. And then also, I love the idea of the ins and outs. I think I might still do that. It was still early enough in the year for that. And then also just, instead of it staying like in a cupboard somewhere or whatever, I love your idea of putting it like as a wallpaper. Yeah. So I feel like that's something that I would also like to adopt. Yeah. But generally, what our vision boards will look like is that we'll have maybe 5 categories, So maybe we've got something, what we want to do for our mental health, for physical, material, for relationally, emotionally, what are some of the stuff that we want to achieve in all of those different fields, and to just actually sit and write SMART goals for that. Yeah. So the acronym for SMART is, it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So basically, instead of me putting, I want a Bentley, right? Instead of me just putting, I put a Bentley. No, but I was saying instead of me just putting a picture of a Bentley, if I really want a Bentley, what that looks like is now me saying, okay, raise X amount of money by March 2023 so I can buy a Bentley from ABC, So I think that really helps with holding myself accountable, and it helps with somebody else holding me accountable, because then when I'm looking in like March or April and I'm nowhere near there, then it's like, okay, which part of this are you struggling with?
Yeah.
You know? So that, and then something that we also usually do, we do it like randomly, but I think this time we want to also make sure maybe we do it quarterly to actually review how are we tracking.
Yeah.
I'm sounding very corporate about it right now, but just to see how are we tracking. You know, what still needs to happen to make sure that we still meet that goal. And if we need to amend it, if we need to move around something, then change it at that time. So I think that's what planning for 2024 looks like for me. That's like, I haven't always been a great planner, but I think lately
it's so interesting that you're saying that, because I don't agree. I think you're an amazing planner. Like, I think I suck at planning, you know, but I think that's also one of the biggest things for this year. I want to be so intentional with my plans that I am proud of myself, you know, and I think, you know, those are the things that you try to associate yourself with people that are more accountable, that hold you accountable. And I think that's what you did last year when we were working out together every day, you know, holding each other accountable. I think those things go a long way.
They definitely do.
Yeah, and I think they're really helpful. So I think if you can get people, a small group, 2 people, even if it's just yourself, hold yourself accountable, take a picture. Remind yourself why you're doing it every day. I think it's so important. I literally told myself that I'm going to take a picture every day when I'm going to the gym to show that I'm there. Even if it wasn't a great workout.
And
I think that's
but it was about showing up. It was about showing up. And I think consistency. When you're saying that it surprises you that you thought that I was a good planner, I think a lot of us operate from just surviving. Right? So then it looks like, oh, she must have planned through every single move that has happened in the last whatever. Wow, such a great planner. No, it's just been about, this is what I want now. I can latch on to that. Let me do this. Oh, there's an opportunity there. Let me do this. That's what it's been very uncoordinated, you know? So I think sometimes that brings a lot of anxiety. Like, not even sometimes. I'm so anxious because of that. So that's why I'm like, this time I'm taking a more relaxed approach. I'm gonna, you know, actually plan everything out, hold myself accountable. And that's what it generally looks like for me. Are you gonna do a TikTok video here in some hours? I wanna see it.
Okay, this is pressure. You know, this is the pressure that we're talking about.
I've seen them on TikTok. I love it.
I think I'm gonna try the green screen thing.
Like at the back. I love it.
And explain why I thought I want to do that. I think that's very important. There's a lot that I want to get through this year. And I really wish you the best as a team. I think we're gonna be able to get through things like we always do. But you know what to expect from us in 2024. You're gonna expect a lot of consistency. We are
first.
Holding each other accountable and making sure that, because we've put our efforts in making sure that we have the right people that are helping us with the sound and all those things. I think everything else is superb. And we're going to make sure that we're giving you quality content. And, just, making sure that we grow with our, our YouTube, and our platform. Create a good community where people can have conversations with us, and leave comments wherever necessary, or we tackle topics that you guys want us to tackle. I think with growth comes that. Comes different things that our people want us to speak on. It shouldn't just be from us.
I think a lot of that growth is very dependent on our audience as well. So please share, like, subscribe, follow, all of that, comment. So that's where the growth is going to come from, because then also that's what also encourages us to do more, you know. But the consistency Lethabo spoke of and the quality, we're like, okay, cool, that's the bare minimum that we should be giving you. So let's do that, so that when you share it with your friends, it's not like, that place,
you're not embarrassed.
So that we don't embarrass you. Like those people you asked me to subscribe to never post it again, you know? So that's what it looks like. And then also, this one, we literally just spoke it today. We're going to find a way. We don't know when, we don't know how. We'll let you guys know, but we're going to make sure that we do at least one in person thing. You know, it might be for the anniversary, it might be something else, a different occasion, but we'll definitely do that because I think the few of you that are there, there's definitely a community, and I know there'll be plenty more that are growing as well. So yeah, I think that's what we have in store. What I actually want to know from people, I really want to hear the whole ins and outs thing. So if everybody can just tell us one in. So for example, one in is that I'm going to start holding myself accountable, and one out is that I'm going to stop blaming everyone for everything that goes on in my life, you know, just kind of thing. So I'd like you to actually comment to just let us know what are your one in, one out from 2023 into 2024. I'm really interested to hear that. 2, I understand if you're mad at us, please forgive us.
Yes.
Yeah, please forgive us, and forgive us by still liking and subscribing and please sharing.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, and I think you guys will catch my ins and outs on TikTok because I don't want to be an oversharer. Okay. That's literally what I'm leaving in 2023.
Yeah.
Just jokes. But yes, I'm going to be oversharing on my TikTok and I'll probably leave the link to our accounts as well below. And I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
I also feel like we're thanking each other and saying all this stuff, and we're not thanking the people behind the scenes.
Yes,
we're looking at the
we are grateful. We are grateful. We are so grateful.
People behind the scenes. There's people.
There's a whole team. Okay.
But no, we're thankful to everybody who's just heard us say we want to make this a reality, and everybody's just like doing their part to try and make sure that it happens, you know. So love you guys, hoping you guys have a great year. You're gonna see us soon, but you know, all of the things that you're wishing for, really hope that everything does come through. All of the blessings,
best of
all of the abundance.
Sending you lots of love. Thank you, cousins. Bye.